Good. Well, welcome everybody. We're here to talk success, was it, Lee, or was it Umpolelo? I think it means the same thing, doesn't it? Let's say great morning. Welcome everybody. Beautiful sunny day here in Joburg. I'm not too sure what it's like where the rest of you are, but Lee, over to you. Let's kick this day off.
Success. Where am I? I'm mute. Sorry, did I just mute and unmute myself? Yeah, sorry. Success. The story that I wanted to share with you from yesterday. So Trevor has the excuse that he has a young granddaughter that he is allowed to watch cartoons and Disney movies with. I have no such excuse. But I watch them anyway. So on Saturday, my husband and I, just the two of us, sat and watched one of the latest Disney Pixar movies called Onward. And it's two elves who were in a magic world, and now the magic world has sort of become an ordinary technical world. So the magic has kind of got lost in the world. So they go on a quest, and the older brother he's been practicing this quest in games, and his younger brother can't quite believe that this is sufficient knowledge for them to go on this quest. And at one point in time, there is a fork in the road. They have to find this magic stone. That's the quest, right? And the one road is the highway. It's fast. You can see it's going to go straight to where they want to go. But the older brother says, no, we must go on the path of peril. And the younger brother says, highway, path of peril. No, I think we should go the highway. And that's what they do. Anyway, they do get pulled off into the pathway of peril, but it made me think about, what is success? Is it the highway that's going to get us fast? Well, we think it's going to get us fast. Or is it the bumpy back roads that are uncertain, unsure, and certainly involve some risk, but the reward is really there? So I wanted to use that story to frame this idea of success. Where do we find success, and what is the pathway to success? So I leave it up to you then to share what your feelings are about success and how you get there.
Great, thanks, Lee. So who shall we pick on this morning? Maybe we should pick on the man whose name means success. So Umpolelo, let's go to you first and see what success means to you, seeing that it's your name.
All right, good morning to everyone again. Hopefully my connectivity is stable enough through the process. But yeah, I'm going to try and keep it short. Look, the topic of success is big for me. Obviously, it's my name, so everything that I do sort of speaks about that. I think I've spent years defining it and so forth, but I'm going to try and keep it short. I believe that success covers a different part of our life. So if you are in good health, if you're in good spirit, if you have the money that's necessary to do what needs to be done, if the family is running the way it ought to run. It's not always the case, but for me, what I'm trying to say is that success covers different parts of life. So if one is successful because they've made the money, but they're lying in hospital because they're sick, it makes it quite difficult to then enjoy what you have made. But then the bigger picture for me of success is the impact and the outcome that it has. If we are to take the one part that is money, if I'm successful monetary-wise, meaning my bank account is looking good, my definition of success goes further to say, in me having done well financially, how much has that impacted others positively? So success goes beyond me as having done well, but my doing well, how much does it affect others as well? And so that definition is also very much close and linked to wisdom, because I know that there's always this argument that says, if a person is intelligent for themselves and they're doing it well, is that wisdom? Or does it go further to say that intelligence has a positive impact and outcome? And for me, success also is the same way. It's good and well that I can do well in life, but my doing well, what does it mean for the rest of the world? I'll keep it there.
Right, thanks, Mpumlelo. Some great thoughts there. So Ian Johnston, let's come across to you.
Yeah.
Did that come through?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the jury's out for me on that one. I mean, as Trevor says, it covers such a wide spectrum, from sport to academic achievements to your own career and your own definition of what success is. And when you attain what you want to, when you achieve something, then are you successful? I mean, I think it's such the definition of, like, a lot of these words are used. There's so many interpretations of what success is. So I'm not sure I can answer it. I think we've all had successes in our lives, in one way or the other. But to define that for me, I'm not quite sure that I can define it as accurately as probably I would like to. It means definitely certain things to me and certain things I've achieved, but I think one's always on a journey in terms of that.
Right, thanks, Ian. Let's come across to Sally.
Sorry, Ivan. Okay, so morning, everybody. Mpumlelo, thank you for that. Actually, I was looking at the definition of success, and as you were talking, you covered everything that I read. So the dictionary describes success as the accomplishment of an aim or a purpose, and then also goes on to say the good or bad outcome of that undertaking, which is, Mpumlelo, exactly what you said. So I think for me, how do I find success is I look at the things that I do in my life and how I spend my time and everything with, regarding, because I'm very involved with charity work as well. So I look at all the spheres of my life, being a mom, being a business owner, being, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I set myself little goals up, and every time I meet one of those goals, it doesn't have to be monetary. It's just a little goal. That for me is success. That's those small steps, towards just, your day-to-day living. And I think, like I said yesterday, happiness is a journey. And I think that this goes hand in hand with that, because the feeling, the fulfillment that you get from that I get from reaching those small little goals, whatever it may be, is that makes me happy. And then also, just another thought is, also, Mpumlelo, just to add to what you said, I think the measurements of success for me is, at what cost does it come, and how do I validate that in my life? Because it's like you say, you could have all the money in the world, but you could be lying in hospital. So it's sort of, you got to look at it, and you got to manage your own expectations, and that's just, you got to validate it for yourself. So that's just my thoughts there.
Right, thanks, Sally. Umpo, let's come across to you.
Yeah, this one caught me off guard, so I'm going to listen. Thanks.
Okay, that was short and sweet. Very, very unlike Umpo, so we definitely caught it off guard this morning. So well done, Umpo. Ian Sherry, let's come across to you.
I often find value in looking at things from the other direction. So to work out what success means, maybe we should look at what unsuccessful means. I think in there you can see that being unsuccessful is like a thing that reflects badly on oneself. So if I think of myself as being unsuccessful, it's a worse thing than being unhappy. Unhappiness is a state of being, where being unsuccessful is a consequence of my own inadequacy. So I think the idea of success is very strongly linked to accomplishment and achievement and the doing of something. So at the end of unsuccess, you're sort of going to go, boo, you didn't do very well, and you might be saying it to yourself. And I think it's in anything, I think this idea of success being something that Michael Jackson has, or George Clooney or Albert Einstein or whatever, has to be put aside. I think success is something that we have deeply sort of written inside ourselves every day, and that we do pat ourselves on the back for being successful at hoovering the floor or accomplishing the washing up without making a glass. But I think success is strongly linked with actually doing something rather than being, and it's that really defines it. So I wondered actually whether success doesn't focus us too strongly on the outcome rather than actually on the journey. And I think Lee's little talk at the beginning was about how important the actual journey is rather than the outcome. So that's my contribution at 7:12 in the morning, which is miraculous to get this old brain doing some kind of activity. So it's lovely to see you all. Thank you.
Great, thanks, Ian. Yeah, I would ask a question of that. So, do you learn and grow more from your successes or from your failures?
I think actually very interesting is that every activity we do, there's a failure consequence and there's a success consequence. I think what the success does is actually reinforce our purpose. So it strengthens our purpose to do more, where what failure does is actually teach us lessons about how to do things better or accomplish things better. So I think there's sort of often in life, there's not a heads and tails. We're humans. We are bipolar. So we got a left and a right. So we think the world is also bipolar, but it's not. It's actually in 3 dimensions. And often we find that our search for opposites isn't actually the right approach, but we should be searching for 3s that sort of complement each other in a sort of a 3 space. Anyway, that's even worse for 7:13 in the morning.
Thanks, Ian. Steve Cotter, let's come across to you.
Thanks, Ivan. Yeah, I like a lot of what has really been said. I like the idea of the journey. I think sometimes we suffer from a bit of an arrival mindset. And especially when I've worked with younger people, especially around leadership, is this idea of just get the badge, get the certificate, get the matric, get the whatever, and then you're successful and you're sorted. But I think we have to maintain that journey mindset. And I like what Ian had to say about just the different factors that come into play within achieving goals, and that you can acknowledge that there may be successes mixed in with failures, mixed in with successes, if I followed Ian properly. Yeah, cool.
Great, thanks, Steve. Jasper, let's pop across to you.
Hi. I think 2 things come up for me. The one is the definition, and it's in your hands how you define success for you. And the second one is the context in which you define success. So let me explain. When I was still very much active in motivating and leading a strong sales field, I found my biggest challenge was to just get people to get on with the process, because success is a process.
Oh, we seem to have lost Jasper mid-sentence there. Are you still with us, Jasper? No, we seem to have lost him. So we'll come back to Jasper. Kevin, let's come across to you in the meantime.
Okay. Hi, morning, everyone. Just seeing what Trevor's just put in the chat, but success is whatever you want it to be. I very much think like that. It's individual. What success to one person isn't necessarily to someone else. And it can be any, right from very small things, right from a small child, it's success to take your first steps, right through to success in business or whatever you want to define it in. Very much related to your goals, achieve the small goals to achieve the big goals. If I relate it to my running history, but my first goal was just to run a mile. My first mile, that was a success. Right through to my first marathon, finishing that first marathon was a success. Now, that wouldn't have been deemed a success to one of the ones at the front of the field that were looking to win it, but to me, crossing the line was the success. So it's all individual. We all define our own, what we want to achieve, what our own success is.
Great, thanks, Kevin. Looks like Jasper's still frozen in cyberspace, so we'll leave him for the moment. Let's go, Christina Zipa.
I think I had Lee's question. I'd written Lee's question down, and I've just been thinking about it, which talks about is success for me alone, or is it for others as well? And I think I want to go back to what Mpumelelo had said earlier, is that your success would be how you use it, and how you use that success to then influence others, which means success is not necessarily for me alone. And I don't particularly think I would be happy as a person if I am successful and I'm the only one within my family or my circle that is successful like that. I would want others to benefit from my success. Like I would want my loved ones and other people that I'm in contact with to benefit from my success. And there's Miles Monroe writes a lot of books about the kingdom principles. And one of the things he talks about there is how we need to be aware that we are workers of the kingdom. And when you are, that, okay, let me take it in terms of how I view it, that Nozipho, as a worker of a kingdom, if I get something, I get that so that for the benefit of the entire kingdom that I work for. So for me, I don't think success is just for me alone to be successful. I think it's for the benefit of others. It's how I use that success to benefit others. And in terms of defining success, I ask myself, I had a conversation with Mpho, I think it was yesterday, and I'd sent her a message that I was tired, I was exhausted, and that I feel I work so hard, I feel I've paid my dues and I'm now ready for overnight success. And after having that conversation with her, then I asked myself, what will success look like? When it happens, what does it look like for me? How will I know when I've arrived at success? And I keep asking myself that question, even as we have this conversation, is what will it look like for me? Because I think I must define what success is for me, because what success is for me is not necessarily what it will be for Ivan, for example. I think we all have our definitions of success. And I think what's important is for us to know what success is for you and what it will look like for you, so that you can know when you've reached it. Because I think a tragedy for me will be to reach success and not be aware that I've reached success. Thanks.
Great, thanks, Nozipho. Jasper, are you back with us?
Yes. I don't know where you lost me, but I was busy saying.
As Steve said, you were lost when you were talking about a continuous process. You came to a grinding halt.
Okay, and I was thinking of when I was still training and motivating people, and the biggest challenge for me was to get them started on their own journey and getting out of their comfort zone, but stay on that uncomfortable journey and developing new skills. And I found an analogy that worked well was I used the dartboard as an example. And I said, if the two of us are playing darts and I'm defining success for me in this game as hitting the dartboard anywhere I hit it, and then wherever I hit it, I counted points. but you define success as only hitting the bull's eye, and none of us have ever learned how to play darts, then I would be much more excited about my game, because I'm much more likely to keep hitting the dartboard and accumulating points along the way, versus you that after 20 shots at it, haven't hit the bullseye, says it can't work. And so I use that as an example, that, as defining your success and make it realistic. And then for myself, in my own journey, I have some days that I just have too many balls to juggle, and I've been working hectically hard, but at the end of the day, I just feel so miserable and unsuccessful. And then when I catch myself feeling like that, I stop myself to say that on the next day, when I have a similar situation, that success for you today would be just to finish that one task. Then if you have more tasks than that, that's great, but just finish that one task. And I know it's a self game, but it helps me to just cope with emotions. And then success also doesn't equate happiness. I remember years ago in the team that I was in, there was a year-long competition. We ended up competing with 50 countries in the world, and we came in the top 10. It was a huge accomplishment in terms of the task at hand, but it also coincided with a big fallout that I had with the leader, and eventually we broke away from the team. And I attended that conference being recognized for success, so to speak, but feeling so unsuccessful, and it was almost the lowest point of my life emotionally. So that's just my contribution in terms of the various components.
Right, thanks, Jasper. Helen, let's go across to you. You need to unmute yourself.
Hi, guys. So everyone's, I feel, is hitting the nail on the head in their respective views, and I think it's all similar. I feel possibly success is that dopamine rush when you hit your goals. So whether it was me walking up a little hill or achieving R1 million a month, that is success. So it's exactly, it's whatever you want it to be, but I feel it's the dopamine that you get when you hit that goal. So to tune yourself in for success is chunk down your goals into something that you can achieve, and then you've got the feeling of achievement and you've got the energy of achievement as you go through life. Yeah, that's basically it.
Right, thanks, Helen. Let's go across to Cecile.
Hi. I kind of see success as the heptathlon that I used to do in athletics that composes of 7 events. So I think of my life of not necessarily 7, but a lot of components that fit together. So in one, that's family and friends and business and sport and religion and a lot of components. And in each of those components, you try and achieve your best self on the day. And sometimes you fail with family. You neglect your husband because you are too busy with your work, or you don't get to do your sports stuff because you're busy with something else. So at the end of the day, you see it's a journey, and you see what is the highest points that you can achieve on a daily, weekly, monthly, yearly basis, because you don't want to end up like Steve Jobs. I think we've all seen that thing, Steve Jobs on his deathbed, what said, don't neglect the other small parts of your life, because life is a lot more than just one dimensional, just money. So I still see success as a journey, a daily journey, where sometimes you fail and sometimes you succeed. And don't beat yourself up when you fail, just try and improve that.
Right, thanks, Cecile. Stella, let's come across to you.
Morning, everybody. So most of you have, one way or another, touched on something that I agree with. I thought about this. It's quite a tough subject, and I thought if you want to determine success, success for me is relative to what. So again, it's a personal thing, and it depends on what your goals and your values, etc. is. So I think your goals will determine for yourself if you, once you've reached it, if you were successful. But success can, for me, take many forms. For instance, if you look in a corporate environment, say for instance the receptionist, she's doing a great job. She's true to her values. She has integrity. She doesn't just think of herself in her job, etc. You can go on. And then you compare that receptionist maybe with the CEO or a board member or somebody that in other people's eyes would look very successful, but how did they get there, you know, and what were their intentions to get there? And you know, if for me, if your intentions were and the ways that you got to your success, even though other people might view you as successful, but your intentions and your ways to get there were not true to yourselves, or is maybe in conflict with my values or what I believe in, then I don't perceive that person as successful. Thank you.
Thanks, Stella. Let's come back to Umpa. Have you had a chance to think of anything, or are you still happy just to listen? You're still happy just to listen. Okay, super. All right, Trevor, let's come across to you. Trevor's silent this morning. Okay, obviously his typing fingers are only working and not his mouth. I'm not sure if that's success with his fingers or failure with his mouth. So we'll have to wait and see on that one. So Lee, let's come back to you then.
I'll never forget many years ago, as I was beginning my...
The last line that I put in the chat was, okay, success is not worrying what other people think is about you or what makes you successful. It's, you know what, if you're happy waking up in the morning and going ahead with your next task. In fact, I'm reminded of the guy who, there was a story I read, it must have been in some famous book somewhere, of a guy who passed away, and on passing away, he looked up on the ceiling and there was the note of his plan for the next day. So every day he woke up with a plan. And so he had ambitious dreams right until the end of his life, and he was in his mid-80s. Man, I want to be that guy, but not in my mid-80s, about 115, God willing. And then I'll think what I will do when I retire. Maybe I'll go and look to try and understand Steve.
Thanks, Trevor. Yeah, sorry, I was saying in the early days of starting my business, I went on a workshop, and the facilitator wrote on the flip chart, what is success? And we had a similar type of discussion. And then he said, so would you say, so I'm talking about easily 20 years ago, would you say Lance Armstrong is successful? At that point in time, he was the winner of the Tour de France 4 times. So of course we all said, yes, he is successful. And then he, at that point in time, he said, but he has also been, had several failed relationships. Does that impact your understanding of his success? And then, of course, added, and I keep coming back to that because we looked at him, and because of the success that he'd had in that arena, he was the epitome of somebody who had overcome cancer, who had worked with the team, who had achieved this incredible feat, and had proven himself over and over again. And now, of course, we know it was all a sham. And so it goes back to what Stella was saying, you know, it isn't just what we achieve, but how. And it isn't just the journey, it's what we bring to it, you know, this ourselves, and what we actually are demonstrating through and with ourselves. So there are, as who said it, many components to success. Cecile said that. As I was thinking about tomorrow and what is it that we draw from this conversation that will sort of take it the next step, is I'm wondering if we can talk about risk. And what does it mean for us? And it's, to me, risk, yes, there's always, with risk, there's always the danger of failure. But failure can happen whether we risk or not. So I'm wondering whether we can just have a conversation about, is risk necessary? What is realistic risk? Is there such a thing? And in order to succeed, in whatever way we understand that, is risk of some kind necessary? So happy with that? So we'll pick that up tomorrow.
Great.
Have a great day, everyone.
Thanks, Lee. Yeah, so just decide whether you're going to risk joining us tomorrow morning or not. And if you do decide you're going to risk it, we'll see you in the morning. So great day, everyone. And
and just to add, it does seem a rather ironic topic, given the fact that we're constantly told hashtag stay at home, stay safe. So, so hashtag stay at home, stay safe, and risk. Bye, everyone.
Lee, is this the wisdom chat to civil disobedience now?
But don't tell anyone.